What up, though? Man, my name is Troy Anthony Evans.
And I'm Mark Evans Jr.
Mark Evans Jr., man. We are happy that you are joining us for the Thrive Podcast. Man, where we are all about discipleship, leadership, and technology for urban leaders.
Yeah, today we got a huge concept that Pastor Troy Evans has broken down very well.
I thought you were going to say my whole name.
Oh yeah, no, I got you. A concept broken down really well that I've been personally been using for 15 years. How about you?
Man, so my guy Rob, as you know, Rob Hughes, who we planted the Edge with, we were sitting, I can't remember, and he always would write stuff. You remember Rob, he's always got a marker, he get to writing stuff, and we were just talking about, calling and all that stuff and identifying that. And I had this philosophy in my brain floating around, and he got all excited, and he started to write out, like, hey, well, let me show you this. And he made, those moments when you got an idea, you got something, but then somebody gives you it's an overused word now, but a framework. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it's really a framework, and that's what this capo became. It is a calling, occupation, passion, opportunity. And then over this, so jumping years later, my daughter Tony and we decided to write a kid's book. You know what I'm saying? And then we wrote a teen book, and we put those joints out. And people that got them, they liked them. But I think what was more important is how many people that God has sent my way that I've been able to use this tool with. And unfortunately, I waited, over a decade to, to drop a book or nine on some of these thoughts. You know what I mean? So, yeah. As far as discipleship, how have you seen the capo, principle used, as we've been going over the years?
Just to understand, there's different places that God will have you.
Yeah.
It's not always a matter of where the church places you, but like there's some intrinsic things that God has created and kind of put in you, like, so that passion piece, a lot of people just follow passion, but they disregard the other parts where God could call you to do things. So like some clear signs of, hey, God wants you here. So that purpose, purpose, I feel like is covered pretty well.
Yeah.
So for you, how do you think calling plays a role in discipleship? Like, let's use the C. How does calling?
Yeah. So calling is one. This is a cheat one. This is a cheat sheet right here. It's because I think we mess up the what calling is because a lot of our worship experience really is about us. Mm-hmm. A lot of what we do is in church and as a Christian is about us, where we forget who's the one doing the calling. Mm-hmm. My calling. Like, that's really kind of weird.
Yeah.
When you think about it, like, so there's a calling, the calling. You switch that around, then it changes everything, because the calling then has a source.
Right.
The source is Jesus, and the source is the one who informs us on how to carry that out is through Holy Spirit. So then we have to go back to, what did Jesus call? So you think about when Jesus went to a group of young cats who was out minding their business fishing, and what did he say, and what did he call them to, and who did he call them to, and what did he call them to do? Maybe, he said to them, like, yo, put down your nets, stop fishing, stop what you're doing, follow me, and I'm gonna make you fishers of men. That is the calling.
Yeah.
That is the calling. That is the only call that every human, whether you're a believer or not, whether you know it or not, that's what you're called to do. Is to stop what you're doing. Don't make it about yourself. Kill your own agenda. That is the calling. That's the start of the calling. Then, so, okay, just stop. Just don't be idle. Now it's time for you to move forward and follow me.
Yeah.
Come and do what I do. live the way that I live. Don't just talk the way that I talk. Because by then, these teenagers would have known the scriptures. They would have known what he knew. They would have been able to memorize. They would have memorized the scripture.
Right.
So they would have known what he known, but he's like, no. Now I want you to do is, now I want you to follow me, and then now what I want you to do is to go be fishers of men. Take this, what you've been learned. Also, they would have gone through trade school. Take what you learned. You got this. Now let's go and apply this, what you know, and let's go hit the block.
Yeah.
And that's what it means. That calling is very, very distinct. And we can get to the other part, but if we don't settle on what exactly is the Christian distinctive, what is it that we are called? What's proprietary to us? And that is the call, not a calling or my calling.
Right.
What do you think?
As you said it kind of, I'm like moving everywhere right now, but the fact that they were at their job when they were at their job when they got the calling of a lifetime.
Jeez.
So like they were doing what they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
By trade, by design. So they had their situation, but then Jesus himself pulls up, talks to him and says, hey, I know you've been doing this. You might even be a professional at this, but let me show you a better way.
Yeah.
Let's show you a more, yeah, that's crazy. So have you seen it like played out recently? Like, is there any stories, any take homes where you've seen, people already kind of in their spots, but, the call?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of it as I shifted personally. I had a conversation, I feel like I was pretty settled in my call, my calling of making disciples. We'll get into this later, but I think it's more what the Lord is refining, and He says, "You're still to make disciples, but then who you're making disciples with, it looks a little bit different." And a dude told me like, "Yo, a good friend of mine, he's like, man, it's like you've been doing this. I've been in the dirt, So I was with a bunch of teenagers, including you, most of my ministry life, doing as I was serving as a pastor." And he was just saying like, yo, I think it's shifting for you. I'm like, what do you mean it's shifting? This is what I do. I committed in California to do this until I die. And he was like, no. You're not stopping what you're doing. You'll be making disciples. It's who you'll be making disciples with change. And he said, you need to move from being a hip hop pastor to being a sage. And the sage sound like, I'm smart or something, or old, which I think I got a couple great It's like neither one of us had got linings in like 9 weeks or something. I don't know. but to move to sage, when he said that, I was offended. You know what I mean? Like, what you talking about? And to really tell me to die to myself. Stop what you're doing. Literally, like that's what he's telling me on the phone. Like, stop what you're doing, bro. Like, it's time for you to shift because God had started sending me leaders. And that's what I mean. So now He's sending me a bunch of young cats, 16, 18-year-olds had a lot of questions and a lot of wondering. But what I'm finding out is that a lot of dudes my age, a lot of dudes in their 40s are asking the same exact questions y'all were asking when I was 16. It's just that they are scaling what they're doing. Now it's like, man, I'm 40. Dang, I'm 40.
Happens quick.
Dang, I'm 30. You know what I'm saying? And it happens really fast, and now they're asking the same question, like, so when am I supposed to stop what I'm doing? In this era of life, how do I follow Him in this pace at this space? I'm no longer trying to find out who He is. I know exactly who He is. I've studied the scriptures. Yeah. And then how do I flush this thing out? And right now it's a different group of people, but I'm hearing the exact same thing I heard from 16-year-olds.
So no matter what you do, the calling pretty much boils down to make disciples.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, wherever you're at.
Therefore, go as you go. Means you're going, you're minding your business, you're walking up the street, doing whatever you do. I always say, take somebody with you and get it done. To me, that's always been a thing. How did that affect you? As we were, y'all used to get on the road with me early.
Oh no!
And there's some funny stories.
Absolutely.
But y'all used to get up and still do when I have them. that would get up and I'm saying 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, you know. But how was that, you know, how was that form of discipleship as you go? And I preface that by saying there's a lot of times when people say that kids, don't take your kids to church too much because they're gonna get burned out. You know, don't expose them to church too much. No, I don't want to get exposed to church. We don't do that with extracurricular activities of basketball or baseball. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, no, nobody's saying like, no, we're not gonna send them to school too much. I don't want them to get burned out.
Yeah.
You know, so did you get burned out? I'm not saying you kids don't get burned out. I'm saying, what was the discipleship experience, and what was that like?
I think just being in an environment where I'm able to explore what passion is, what passion looks like, to be in an environment where I know a job isn't important. It is important. Like, no one never told me, hey, don't work, just do ministry. It's like, no, you have to do both. Like, you won't be an adult, you won't be a man until you have your work and you have your calling. Like, that's what it takes. So going with you, seeing how passionate you were, you know, it's still 4 or 5 in the morning. It's just flights now. Just to tell you, just you know,
a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, just a little bit more comfortable. But you know, still getting up with that same vigor after years of, you know, serving people, you know, locally, regionally, nationally, you know, internationally.
Yeah.
But having that that desire, that passion, that calling, when it all kind of comes together, you know, you can speak from a place where you're not just, you know, giving theory, you're giving something practical, and then you see eyes light up.
Straight
like
up.
I think that's the most rewarding. And I've seen it since a kid, like 13 years old.
Yeah.
You know, 32 now. So seeing those light bulbs come on in people and people starting to get into their place, we just didn't have a phrase for it back then. Now we know that it's capo. So super proud, super, you know, happy, glad that you took me along, but now I'm doing the same thing. I'm taking people, we're going through dish profiles, we're going through love languages, we're discovering ourselves, discovering what, you know, God might shape us to do in a job environment, still giving passion and opportunity. I'm covering it. It's just, it looks different in the corporate world.
What's up? I am so excited to invite you to come to our Unstuck Action Planning Bootcamp. I put the word action before planning because what happens a lot of time is that cats write stuff down, we write things down, and then we put stuff them in somewhere, or we put them on our phones, and we never really get to them. We're talking about action plan. How do we go from an idea to developing a strategy and then creating a plan that we move into action? Well, we created a proprietary system that we use to move things. You might have seen some of my people, you might see some of the things that I do, that we're starting something and we finish it, right? We want to help you to do the exact same thing. So why don't you join us on February 22nd and go ahead and hit the link so that you can be a part of getting unstuck. Let's go. Oh yeah, I got one more thing to tell you. At the end of the day, it's important that you start planning and moving into action. So we went out, connected with some of our partners. Somebody put up some money for you to be able to plan your stuff out. So look, you do this. If you give, I don't know, whatever you want to give, you can donate whatever amount you want to. And what's going to happen is that we're going to basically wipe the rest of the payoff. The rest of it's gone. So basically, you give a donation for whatever amount, we'll pay the rest because we got a generous donor. Because it's very important that you move from just having a plan to moving into action. Hit the link, but it's only 5 people that can get this. So let's go. So let's shift gears. And I know, but I think, you know, it'll be helpful to talk about your relationship with work and how has that been defined for you. And how's it been? You've been working since you were how old?
16.
16. And yeah, so how is that? What is work to you?
Work is a means to an end. I think that's the phrase. I hope I'm saying it right. It is a part of my schedule. Since 16 years old, I've been encouraged to find 40 hours.
40 hours, like literally.
40 hours worth the work.
Yeah.
It does not matter what that 40 hours is. The goal is that it was a stable, and I think maybe around 2021 is where it actually like started producing fruit. So it took a couple years of hearing the same thing, but I had the ballroom job,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
and that's when I realized, yo, my whole schedule kind of hangs on this, me being here on time, me leaving on time,
Yeah.
me being ready. And it just opened a whole new world for me where I can still work in my passion. I was dancing,
Yeah.
but this work kind of got my mind focused. So then everything else started to fall in place when you
I
have
totally agree.
the time blocked out to make it happen.
Yep.
Shout out Tank. And then you have the money to fund the fun that you want to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. That's always helpful.
Yeah. So, yeah, just this constant pull or this constant, reminder that, hey, work is important. God made man to work.
Yeah.
Can't get around that. Adam had a job. A lot of people forget. Like, that's
Right.
part of his makeup.
J-O-B.
Yeah, so he had to make it happen. He had to clock in. He had purpose. Not saying that your job is your purpose.
Yeah.
A lot of people get that confused, especially around us.
Yep.
They hear,
I think the more a person's an artist, the more this gets confusing.
yeah,
Because as a former artist in multiple areas, I get the struggle because it's like, yo, I want to do work that I'm passionate about, and I get that. I really do. And I think for some people, that day is coming where at some point you can't. Those things will align. So you got calling, you got occupational work, and then we got passion. And the occupation and the work that we do, to your point, is not synonymous with our passion.
yeah,
It doesn't have to be. In most cases, it doesn't. And so that's why we have so many people going to universities, people going from job to job, people are depressed, going to work. They have all this stuff because I think they start with the wrong premise. And they start with the premise of, we just got talking about the idea of not liking the idea of being depraved. But let me tell you what that does. And when I say being depraved, I'm not adding no secret sauce to it. Go to the dictionary and look it up. Don't listen to these lame cats talking about what depravity looks like. I'm talking about morally corrupt. I have nothing to offer, but God has everything. If we start with that premise, then it's looking up the rest of the way through.
yeah,
But when you come to the table like, I deserve this, that I'm a child of the King. Yeah, you are, but you're a runaway slave.
right, yeah,
You know what I'm saying? At best, like you are running. You're like So you just do. You're supposed to be under and with your master. You're supposed to be with him. You're supposed to be surrendered to him and him alone. And you're running from him. And just like so, I forgot my thought.
no,
You cut that.
no, whatever you feel like you deserve, is just a pipe dream at that point. You're just, you're scrambling to try to find your own identity and your own purpose. If you haven't done the work, if you haven't gone through the calling, you're not pursuing God-given opportunities, you're just picking at straws of what job sounds fun.
Yeah.
There's no passion, there's no link, there's no evidence that God has put you there.
Yeah.
If you're just going by what you like or what you enjoy to do.
It takes time to figure that out. It takes time to figure out. So what exactly is it that I am? What am I good at? And I think if we start there versus what am I passionate about, I think we'll find a lot of things. So I think it'll lead us down a journey. So when I look at work, occupation, I say, so let's start with what are you good at? What is something that comes good to you? And let's start there and get work. Because to your point, that God made man to work is not a punishment. You know, he gave man work to do before the fall. And because of that, it's like, so it's okay, it's good. So let's do the work that he's called us to do in that space. And then because we don't deserve anything, then everything he does, then it should be counted as joy. Anything, this next breath that we're going to breathe, joy. The fact that I can get up and go to work, I can find great joy in the work that I do the moment I release this idea that I need to find passion in what I do.
Yeah.
So which leads to the passion piece. As an artist and all of that, I think like that is if we got calling, that creates a receptacle, which is we need to be making disciples. Then what that looks like, I think is found in passion. If Mark had, you know, an old person walking up the street who wants to do whatever, and you got this young person that wants to dance, your knee-jerk response is going to be to go after this person, and you're hoping that somebody's gonna catch this old lady.
Yeah.
You know, and like, now I'm gonna go after this young person who's dancing because that's my passion, and then I'm gonna disciple through my passion.
Right.
I'm gonna use my passion. It starts to, I guess, your passion starts to shape who and how you're gonna make disciples.
Yeah.
But the question of whether or not you can make disciples or not, that's not up for debate. But it's like your passion shapes that.
Yeah. And I think so many people follow passion blindly, and they don't have the occupation to support their passion.
Yeah.
So it just becomes a burning passion.
Yeah. Burning passion.
Yeah. You're stuck with this, you know, we're picking on artists, but you're stuck with this idea of, hey, I want this music to reach the whole world.
Yeah.
But, you know, you didn't put in the hours
Yeah.
financially to get the capital
True that.
to put an ad out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's...
Y'all know the rule. You know, we said you mentioned it earlier a little bit, but we talk about the basic 40. You know, and then we hustle.
Yeah.
So that hustle, pray, eat. Like, no, you work your basic 40 hours, get paid, then we hustle.
Yeah.
Period.
So, as leaders, how would you view leaders with passion and then leaders with occupation? Like, how do those connect? How would those, you know, correlate or connect with each other in the, you know, view of leadership?
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, I used to draw these 4 circles, as you know, calling, occupation, passion, opportunities. I used to draw them. I used to interlock them.
Mm-hmm.
But that may not happen. I think that's like could every good basketball player, will they play for the NBA? But could they play basketball for the rest of their life?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can have both. Mm-hmm. You don't have to. It doesn't have to become your job.
Yeah.
But you can still live your passion. If you want to make music that impacts the world, you can do that without it becoming your job. If you want to do whatever that is, it doesn't have to become your job. And I think if you separate them for a minute, you might find yourself closer than you think.
Yeah.
You know, if you can find your passion, you can find joy in the work that you do, and take the passion and say, I typically say, if you can tithe 10% of your time into your passion, meaning that you take 10% of the time that you're giving at your workplace a week to your passion, and watch what God does with it.
Yeah. That's dope.
Yeah.
I don't think you told me that one though.
No.
Yeah, I think I missed that one.
No.
But I was one of those headstrong people.
Yeah.
I had to dance. Like there was no way around it. So whether it was washing dishes and being a touring DJ, it was just one of those. I had to give 100%. I know the pitfalls. I know it hurts. I've been burnt out before for sure. But
you have to do both.
You have to do both.
And at 16, you were doing both.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the difference. I think we better transition into tech, which Do you have a ChatGPT story today?
Oh my goodness. So yes, my ChatGPT. I'll keep it short. I was able to talk to a director of a program developer that deals with performing arts. So very niche, very specific. This person is who I'll have to talk to whoever replaced them one day.
Okay.
And I just got some great insight. But man, just talking to her about her daily life, how she schedules things, and I was able to pick her brain, but then I recorded the conversation. I took the output that I wanted, the way that I can, take it. But then just to hear her passion and to hear, what she did as a job and then how it correlated, I was able to even capture that, put it in an output that was understandable, and it gave me some deadlines.
Yeah.
And then now I could put those in my personal calendar and then move forward with my own program.
Yeah.
And just because, ChatGPT already knows my program.
Yeah.
I just, I phrased it in a way of, hey, take this in mind, take all these notes in this transcript, apply it to my program. Can you give me a table chart of, deadlines and break these big goals down into small ones? So
that's right. Yeah, man. Bing. We need like a bing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Those moments where you're able to use technology. And here we're like, okay, so in the space of figuring out your purpose, there are ways. So we're gonna if you go into the description, there'll be a link for you to go, and we have tools. Right? We got tools on top of tools for people to go, free tools where you can go and you can use technology to be more efficient.
Yeah.
And in this space, I've said it before, I've said it many times, but we have to approach this form of tech to converse, to have a conversation. Because if you can go to it and if you're willing to hear some things about yourself, you can ask some questions, and so what this tool will do is basically it'll ask you a series of questions about yourself, But what you can do, you can prompt, tools like ChatGPT and say, hey, you're an expert in helping people find their purpose. That's simple. And if you know a little bit more, you can say you're an expert in behavioral and spiritual assessments. I'm trying to figure out what am my calling and what's my occupation and what's my passion. Then I want to look for opportunities to flush these things out. Could you ask me 5 questions per these based on you being the expert in all of them to help me to start troubleshooting some of these ideas of what it is that I'm called to do? What is it? Is it the all-knowing AI? No. But what it does is it starts to ask you good questions that you wouldn't ask yourself, that maybe I wouldn't be able to ask you. But then also it'll give you something to start with to go to a mentor and say, hey, I got some ideas. And you are the human in the loop. You go and you say, I agree. Nah, that ain't it. You're still in control.
Right.
And you tell it like, yo, I agree with this. And what you agree with, man, that you save yourself. Now you can really get with a loving, God-fearing mentor and coach and say like, yo, this is what I know. Can you help me to figure the rest of this out?
Yeah.
That's the power that we can use these particular tools for. So you take this assessment, go 15 minutes. It'll give you out a report and give you that information.
Yeah. And make sure, find a mentor, find a coach, find somebody that's going to hold you accountable to these goals, these dreams, these aspirations. Because if it's big enough for you to, watch a podcast like this, go to the description, fill it out. Man, it's big enough for you to go find somebody that's going to hold you accountable to actually get it done. Because AI can only give you the plan.
Only give you the plan.
Can't move you. Not yet.
No, sir. Not yet. Even once it becomes fully agentic, which is it's moving on the back end, it's still going to need you, a human in the loop and interactive with it. Man, I want to invite you to pick up a book. So we wrote a book about it. It's called Reimagine the Purpose. Calling, occupation, passion, and opportunity. And like I said, my daughter and I, we wrote the kids book, and we wrote, teenager book. Then it was just like, man, we need to write an adult book about it. And really, this is the tool that every person that I've discipled, they've gone through a version of this to figure out these things. And by God's grace, He's used it as a tool to transform a person's perspective as He's transforming their lives. And so I'll tell you, go out to Amazon, hit the link, and pick it up. And there's tools inside of it. We got tools on top of tools inside of the book. So pick it up and let's see what God does and help you get closer to finding your purpose.
Sir, absolutely.
Got one nugget to share before we leave and get up out of here about if you're going to talk to a young or older leader, doesn't matter. What would be one nugget you give?
Well, for the young leader that's coming up, man, no job is under you. If it's not paying your bills, if it's not enough to pay your bills, that's one thing. But man, there's no shame in paper routes. There's no shame in washing dishes. There's no shame in, babysitting or walking dogs. Like, it's a job, bro.
Yeah, man.
Like, y'all got to get over that. And then for the older people, there's no shame. There's no shame in working at a grocery store, working at McDonald's. Like, the shameful part is not having enough money to take care of yourself and the things that you want to do. Like, if you have to resort to, criminal activity or some, shiesty OnlyFans situation to make your Christian music pop, then shame on you. But no, man, go out there, go hustle for real, man. Like, one day, it took me years. I'm not saying I'm at the pinnacle. I'm not saying I'm like at my, top, but man, I worked some odd jobs before I actually got here, and I'm proud of every single one of them. They got me to where I'm at. So man, just stay encouraged, make it happen. Find that job.
Yeah.
Indeed works.
Indeed works, man. Reimagine what it looks like to follow your calling, your occupation, your passion, and opportunity. Man, we thank y'all so much for joining us for the Thrive Podcast. We will see y'all in a couple weeks. We out.